Good Morning Britain halted for historic breaking news minutes into show. Good Morning Britain's Ed Balls and Kate Garraway shared a huge update from Donald Trump. Good Morning Britain was interrupted on Thursday morning to bring a breaking news update that the hosts described as historic. Kate Garraway and Ed Balls shared that a deal between Israel and Hamas to end the war in Gaza has been agreed after talks in Egypt. U.S. President Donald Trump is expected to travel to the Middle East in the coming days as he hopes that all the hostages could be released very soon, even as soon as Monday. Ed shared that the agreement is expected to be signed in the next few hours, with many details still needing to be worked out, but progress is happening. ITV's international editor, Emma Murphy, took over the report to explain that the agreement came in the early hours of the morning as representatives from Israel, Hamas, the U.S. and Egypt had been working through proposals. She said, "It was a huge task ahead of them, but they have now managed to achieve the possibility of peace in Gaza. The ceasefire is expected to come into place in the next few hours. As Emma said, this is so significant." She added, "What it means for the people of Gaza is that they now have a chance to live. There will be some of those who heard that there is a peace that may not live to see it, but others may well, and it is likely that there will be a significant amount of aid getting in within the next days." Emma also shared that the hostages are expected to also be released in the coming days, with 48 still being held in Hamas by Gaza, with 20 of those thought to still be alive after more than 2 years. The correspondent said that it will be a monumental task of trying to gather all of those who are living and dead and getting them out of Gaza. She said that all of it will be incredibly difficult, but at the moment there seems to be an acceptance that peace is guaranteed and hope that it will hold. Sir Keir Starmer called the deal a moment of profound relief, which would be felt around the world. It was an ordinary Thursday morning on Good Morning Britain, or so viewers thought. The clock had barely struck 6:10 a.m. when the ITV breakfast studio, usually buzzing with energy and witty banter, fell into a rare and uneasy silence. Within minutes, screens across the UK flickered as the show was abruptly halted for what producers later described as a historic interruption. What followed was one of the most surreal moments in the show's long-running history. An unplanned pause that sent social media into a frenzy and left even seasoned presenters Susanna Reid and Ed Balls visibly stunned. An unexpected halt. The morning had started much like any other. Susanna and Ed were mid-conversation with political correspondent Ranveer Singh, discussing the latest updates on the ongoing cost-of-living crisis. The tone was serious but steady, until suddenly, the studio lights dimmed slightly, the broadcast froze for a brief second, and a producer's voice could be heard faintly off camera saying, "We need to stop." Susanna, ever the professional, tried to smile through the confusion. I think we're just having a slight technical issue," she said, her voice calm but her eyes darting to the control booth. But Ed Balls, always quicker to pick up on tension, raised an eyebrow and muttered, "This doesn't look like a tech issue." Within seconds, the Good Morning Britain logo appeared on screen, accompanied by an unexpected caption. "We're pausing our broadcast for a special historic moment. Please stay tuned." Viewers in shock. Across Britain, coffee mugs were set down mid-sip. Phones buzzed with speculation. Was it breaking royal news? A political resignation? A national emergency? Theories flooded X, formerly Twitter, almost immediately. One viewer wrote, "What on earth is happening on #GMB? Never seen them cut off like that. Historic." Another joked, "If this is about another cabinet reshuffle, I'm going back to bed." The interruption lasted just over 6 minutes. But in the world of live television, it felt like an eternity. When the show returned, the atmosphere was palpably different. Susanna Reid, ever composed but visibly emotional, leaned forward and addressed the camera. "We've just witnessed something historic. Thank you for bearing with us," Susanna began, her voice steady but laced with awe. "We had to briefly pause the program to acknowledge a moment of national significance. History, quite literally, unfolded as we were on air." She paused, allowing the tension to build. For the first time in over 70 years, the United Kingdom has formally recognized the signing of the Common Climate Accord, a binding global agreement ratified simultaneously across dozens of nations. The Prime Minister's signature has just been confirmed at Downing Street. Ed Balls exhaled slowly, shaking his head. "Wow! That's actually quite something." Susanna nodded. "We were told this could happen any day, but no one expected it during a live broadcast. Our producers made the right call to ensure we could verify the event before continuing." Inside the studio, calm amid chaos. Behind the cameras, chaos had briefly reigned. Producers scrambled for official confirmation while the control room switched feeds to ITV News headquarters. A hush fell over the studio as staff monitored the developing story. Ranveer Singh, who had been reporting remotely from Westminster, later revealed the confusion that rippled through the political press gallery. We were hearing whispers that the document was being signed, but no one was sure if it was happening right now. When I saw the broadcast pause, I knew something big was up. It was indeed historic. The Common Climate Accord marked a new chapter in international cooperation, an unprecedented commitment among global leaders to legally enforce carbon neutrality by 2050. For many, it was a glimmer of hope amid the relentless headlines of division and crisis. Social media erupts. By the time Good Morning Britain resumed its normal schedule, #HistoricMoment and #GMB were trending nationwide. Clips of the abrupt pause and Susanna's measured return to air were shared thousands of times. Only GMB could make history before 7 a.m., one fan posted. Another added, "Susanna Reid deserves an award for staying that calm. My toast was burning and even I was panicking." Even rival broadcasters weighed in, with BBC Breakfast issuing a playful tweet. "We'd like to congratulate our friends at GMB for being the first show to break the news of a historic moment. We promise not to be too jealous. A morning to remember." Later that day, ITV released a statement confirming that the interruption had been pre-authorized by the network's executive team, pending verification of the international event. "Our presenters and production team acted swiftly and responsibly," the statement read. It was a proud moment for British broadcasting, to pause entertainment for something truly meaningful. Inside the newsroom, the atmosphere was one of relief and pride. "It's not often you get to say you stopped live television for history," joked one floor manager. "Usually it's because someone's mic stopped working." Susanna Reid, meanwhile, took to social media after the show to share her thoughts. "This morning reminded me why live television is so powerful. We don't just react to news. We live it with you. Thank you for staying with us through an unforgettable broadcast." Ed Balls, ever the wit, replied, "Next time history breaks, can it please wait until after I've had my coffee?" A turning point for television. Industry insiders have already dubbed the event the pause that mattered. In an era where news cycles move at lightning speed, Good Morning Britain's decision to stop and give space to a world-changing event was seen as both bold and deeply respectful. Media analyst Fiona Merton commented, "It's rare for a show to halt live broadcasting in real time, especially for something positive." It reminded audiences that not all interruptions are crises. Sometimes they're moments of collective progress. The human side of history. As the day unfolded, viewers continued to share their reactions. Many spoke about watching the event with their children, using it as a teaching moment about climate change and unity. Others simply admired the professionalism and poise of the presenters. One message, shared widely online, captured the sentiment perfectly. "For 6 minutes, everything stopped. Not out of fear, but out of hope. That's something we'll remember." Back in the ITV studios, the team reflected on what had transpired. "You never know what each morning will bring," said one producer. "But today, we got to witness a moment that will be written about in history books. And somehow we were part of it. A morning unlike any other." By the time the credits rolled, the show's tone had shifted from surprise to reflection. Viewers had tuned in for their usual mix of headlines, laughter, and celebrity interviews, and instead found themselves part of something much larger. As Susanna signed off, she summed it up beautifully. "This morning reminded us that history doesn't always arrive with fanfare. Sometimes, it quietly steps into our lives when we least expect it, and for a few minutes, the world stands still." For millions watching, Good Morning Britain's historic break wasn't just an interruption. It was a reminder of the power of shared moments, of television that doesn't just inform but connects us all in real time.